At the beginning of the movie, a tourist couple visits a restaurant in Scotland that has an old painting of a monster on the wall. This picture, according to the boy, is a forgery. An elderly man sitting nearby informs them that the photo is a forgery, but if they wish, he can tell them the true story behind the photograph. That couple arrives and takes a seat next to that person. The old man begins to tell them about Angus McMorrow's childhood in Scotland during World War II. His father was a participant in the war and drowned along with the ship years ago. Angus is still waiting for his father to return because he was very close to him. His mother, Anne McMorrow, was taking care of an opulent household. She takes Angus to the beach one day to delight him, where he collects seashells as he used to do, and discovers a large oval shell. When Angus returns home and visits his father's workshop, he removes its upper shell, revealing a glowing blue egg beneath. He leaves it alone when he hears his mother's voice. Angus is awakened by a knock in the middle of the night and enters the workshop, where he encounters a small unknown creature. To calm him down, Angus feeds him a potato. The next morning, many military vehicles stop in front of their house. When Angus sees them, he realizes that his father may have returned. However, Captain Hamilton has arrived with a team to search for German submarines. Crusoe was the name given by Angus to the creature. He feeds him, and when Angus notices that he is thirsty, he fills the drum with water, which Crusoe happily splashes around in. Angus leaves it at the workshop. He then turns to assist his mother. He tries to inform his elder sister, Kirsty McMorrow, of his discovery, but she ignores him. Anne employs Lewis Mowbray to repair the house. Lewis is given Angus' workshop to stay in. He begins cleaning it, and knocks over the water drum containing Crusoe. When Angus notices this, he storms into the workshop, upset and enraged at Lewis. However, Lewis becomes enraged, and forbids him from interfering with his work. Angus sets out to find Crusoe, but he has sneaked into the house, and is looking for food. Then a bulldog spots him, and chases after Crusoe. In fear of the dog, he flees, and they both tumble through the fall, until the dog's rope snaps and Crusoe is saved. It is hidden in the bathroom tub that Kirsty has prepared for herself. Kirsty screams when she sees Crusoe. Angus hears her screams and rushes over to her. He tells her about Robinson Crusoe, and persuades her not to tell their mother. They are both in the bathroom with Crusoe when Lewis enters to repair the toilet. Angus and Kirsty try and fail to conceal Crusoe, and Lewis notices him. He is surprised to see him, because he is familiar with Crusoe. According to Lewis, Crusoe is a water horse, which people believe to be a mythical creature. Lewis is now helping Angus care for Crusoe. Lewis believes Crusoe should be left in the lake, because he is growing too quickly, but Angus does not want to separate Crusoe from himself. Captain Hamilton throws a party one evening, and invites Anne as a special guest. Everyone joins in on the fun, and then Crusoe emerges from the bathroom. The dog spots Crusoe and follows him, untethered this time. It follows Crusoe around the house. Crusoe and the dog arrive in the dining hall, while everyone is eating, and they ruin the party. Fortunately, no one notices Crusoe, and he flees the house. While Lewis and Angus spend the night looking for Crusoe, he sees fish in the fountain and jumps into it. Lewis discovers a horse-sized Crusoe in the fountain before sunrise. He can't hide any longer. Angus and Lewis abandon him in the water. Lewis tells Angus that only one species of water horse develops at a time, because it has both male and female systems, and that when a water horse matures, it dies after laying only one egg. As a result, the recently arrived water horse is orphaned. Jimmy McGarry is fishing with a man in the lake, when the hook gets caught in a huge fish, which is, of course, Crusoe. When Jimmy cuts the rope, he takes their boat with him. Crusoe emerges from the water, revealing himself to both of them. It's a demon, according to Jimmy. A newspaper reporter overhears him saying this in a bar, and decides to publish it in his newspaper. Captain Hamilton is interested in Anne, so he enlists Angus in his army team to teach him discipline and assigns him small tasks, like polishing shoes, cutting vegetables, setting up tents, and cleaning the car. Angus eventually grows tired of it all, and travels to the lake to meet Crusoe. Angus is astounded to see Crusoe, who is transformed into a massive monster. Crusoe rides Angus around the lake for the first time. When Angus is settled, Crusoe takes him on an underwater excursion, which cures his fear of the sea, and he thoroughly enjoys it. At night, he sits in the workshop with Kirsty and Lewis, talking about everything, and laughing hysterically. When Anne comes to the workshop, looking for her children, she loves to see them smiling like this. She expresses gratitude to Lewis for making her children happy after such a long time. Captain Hamilton doesn't like seeing Lewis and Anne together, so he takes Anne and her children to their base the next day. He tells them his plan to impress them, how he will target the Nazi submarines. He directs the shelling on the lake. On the other hand, Jimmy goes to the lake with the reporter to photograph Crusoe, but due to the shelling on the lake, they are convinced that the creature will not come to the surface of the water, so they make a dummy and float it to the surface. The reporter photographs it and publishes it in the newspaper in order to become famous. Because of Crusoe's presence in the lake, Angus begins pleading with them not to fire. He begins to tell Anne about Crusoe, but Anne scolds him and silences him. Anne finds it offensive. Captain Hamilton informs Anne that Angus requires discipline. Anne confines Angus to his room. After a few days, Kirsty takes pity on Angus and sends him to meet Crusoe. He travels to the lake with Lewis and summons Crusoe, who arrives but is terrified by the shelling. He would no longer recognize Angus. Angus attempts to calm him down, but he attacks Angus and Lewis saves him in time. Two soldiers are sitting in the camp together, when one of them, who is reading the newspaper, informs their partner that he has seen the monster mentioned in the newspaper. His companion claims that he will undoubtedly catch the monster. They go to the lake in a boat for this, and as soon as they see Crusoe, they attack him. Because Crusoe is terrified by this attack, he counterattacks and flips their boat. The men report to the base that they have been attacked before the boat capsizes. On the other hand, Captain Hamilton believes their adversary has attacked them. When Anne discovers that Angus has also gone to the lake, she decides to join him. When Angus returns from the lake in despair, he sees the dog running towards the lake and chases after it, and Angus becomes concerned when he sees Crusoe attacking military men in the lake. Angus attempts to stop him. The military butler is apprehended by Crusoe. Angus goes into the water to save the man from Crusoe, but his foot slips and he drowns. When Crusoe notices this, he throws the man away and rescues Angus from the water. When Captain Hamilton and Anne arrive, Crusoe returns to the lake. Angus tells Anne about Crusoe, but she doesn't believe him this time, and Crusoe emerges from the lake. Anne and Hamilton are taken aback when they see Crusoe. Then the nearby camp begins firing on Crusoe. Afterwards Angus, Anne, Lewis all aboard the boat to save Crusoe's life and transport him to the beginning of the ocean. Crusoe escapes from the iron net and heads into the vast and deep sea. After that, Angus never saw Crusoe again. The story concludes. When the tourists ask the man his name, he says it is Angus McMorrow. The couple are taken aback by this news. At the ending scene, a small child is seen finding the same egg that Angus found on the beach. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to watch more movies like this.